Lacrosse is known as the new and up-and-coming sport of the 21st century. Breitbart.com says that this is partially true. Lacrosse is the fastest growing sport of this decade, but it is also the nation's oldest sport. It also has one of the richest histories out of any sport that I've ever seen. So I will be covering a brief history of the sport and the effects that lacrosse has on society. The first thing I'm going to cover is the history. The Native Americans are the people who created the sport. According to the origins of men's lacrosse on filacrosse.com, it was originally called stickball because it was played with a stick and a ball, and you were not allowed to touch the ball with your hands, so they called it stickball. It was played in eastern North America, in the New England and Great Lakes area, and in Canada. It was a very major event. Many people would come to watch and would play it. Many times there would be 100 to even 100,000 players playing at one time. And as you can see in this picture, there's probably closer to 100,000 people there. That's the Indian Ball Game by George Catlin. That was from the one of the museums in New York is where that came from. But the games would last over several days, anywhere from a couple hours to even 3 days. Played over a very large area. The game itself had no boundaries, but the goals were between 100 yards and a few miles apart, depending on the number of players playing. The game was originally played to toughen up the young warriors. They would gather all of the teenagers and young adults and have them play this game in hopes that it would make them more agile and more fit for war. It was also played for recreation, so just for fun, and for gambling purposes, so people would place bets on who they thought would win or who they thought would do the best. But it was also played for religious reasons. The gods considered the game to be consoling, so whenever the players would finish playing the game, they should be happy and content with how they did. And if the players were happy and content, then the gods were also happy. In heaven, or in the Native American heaven, there was no sickness or death, and the Native Americans believed that this was because of lacrosse, because the gods played. The first organized lacrosse club was created by Dr. William George Beers, who is on the left, and there's Henry Beckett on the right. He is the founder of a hockey company. Dr. William George Beers founded the Montreal Lacrosse Club in 1856. By 1860, lacrosse was Canada's national game. Many people think that hockey would be considered Canada's national game, but it was actually a descendant of lacrosse because people wanted to play lacrosse year-round, but it was too icy, so they just put skates on their feet and skated around and played lacrosse on the ice. And that's where hockey came from. In the mid-1860s, new rules and new modified equipment were created to make the game more fair and enjoyable for other people. These are just some new and old pictures from that lacrosse helmet's from the mid-1900s. This lacrosse stick is from the 1800s. The gloves are also from the mid-1900s, and then this helmet, this stick, and these gloves are all from 2013. But according to the latest U.S. Lacrosse annual survey, over 746,000 people played lacrosse on an organized team in 2013. Last year, or in 2012, only under 400,000 played on an organized team, so the number almost doubled in 1 year of players. But as the rules and equipment changed, the strong bond of the team and the willingness of the team to give back to the community stayed the same. Teams stressed hard work and brotherhood a lot of times, and I mean, even my coach stressed brotherhood more than the game itself a lot of times, and that really helped us out a lot. Because if you could work as a team and consider your team to be brothers on and off the field, you would play a lot better in any games. A lot of lacrosse teams are also big on social image, so they like to be seen as a positive. They like to have a positive effect on society, and they like to prepare team members more for going out into the real world and getting jobs, and just preparing them for what is to come next in their life. Many clubs and teams also make a point to give back to the community. The Limestone men's lacrosse team, which is out of Gaffney, South Carolina, which is seen right here, got together with Habitat for Humanity last year, and they did some service work. They painted the decks, they painted shutters, they did yard work, cleaned up the streets and everything like that. And since every player from that group was present for helping out with Habitat for Humanity, they achieved an outstanding amount of work in just under 3 hours. And then Darby High School, their lacrosse team has 40 students on it, and every student is required to complete 250 hours of community service over the course of the lacrosse team, or over the lacrosse season. These service hours include doing food drives in soup kitchens and roadside cleanup and stuff like that. And then even my high school team, we did a lot of community service too. We did free car washes, roadside cleanup as well, and a few members of our team would volunteer to work the football concessions during our football season. So those are just a few of the positive effects that lacrosse has on society. So lacrosse is America's oldest, fastest growing sport with a lot of very rich history. And it is growing on society in a very, very positive way. So next time somebody tries to tell you that baseball is America's favorite pastime, you can tell them that lacrosse is actually America's oldest sport, and it is quickly growing to be bigger than baseball.